Hello my banana friends! First of all, I would like to wish you a wonderful 2021. This video is dedicated to my plant lover friends. Today we are going to learn about some specific techniques to clone your plant. You know, you love your plants and sometimes you would like to make copies of that, right? So that's what we are going to do, and we are going to focus on a very special and cool technique. There are hundreds of techniques for cloning your plant. Of course, some of them require a laboratory, but we are going to do it at home with very simple techniques. A common technique to propagate your plants, to make clones of your plants, is just cuttings of the original plant, right? Like this, using either soil or water. But today we are going to focus on one type of propagation, which is called propagation by layering. What is the difference? When we talk about propagation by layering, what we are going to do is to propagate a plant when a new plant, when the new plant is still connected to the mother plant. We are talking about cloning because actually the plants that you get from a mother plant are all identical to the mother. That's why are considered clones. So in the layering, what we are going to do is to propagate a plant when they are still connected to the mother plant. So we are not going to cut or to use cuttings of the plant. We are going to keep the plant kind of intact. There are several techniques to do that, but we are going to focus on one very special that we are going to see at the end of this explanation. So I will try to explain with one simple branch. By the way, I'm using a branch of this ficus that I have here, and I propagated this one from that one in just 1 month, or maybe 1.5 months. The propagation by layering has also some sub-techniques. So let's start. Number one is called simple layering. So what we do in this case is to dig a hole, and then we take the branch from a mother plant and we put it like this in the hole. After 1 or 2 months, you are going to cut here, and then you will get a new plant. But this one will remain connected to the mother plant. So that's the advantage. Number two is known as tip layering. How does it work? In that case, dig a hole and you put the tip of your branch in the hole. And then after some time you cut here, and again you have this part connected to the mother plant, and this will be a completely independent plant. It's very nice to see because at the beginning all the leaves are in this position facing the soil, but because plants have this positive tropism, they are going to look for the light, and then they start to turn the leaves in this direction. Number three is known as complex or serpentine. So essentially it's the same as the simple, but in many points. In this case, you dig holes 1, 2, 3, and then you introduce part of your branch like this, then like this, like a serpent, and then like this in 3, 4, 5, doesn't matter, the holes that you can get with one of these branches. And then again, after a few months or weeks, you cut and you will have several plants. This is a very common technique used in many small fruits like strawberries or blackberries. It's very common way of propagating. The next one is called layering by mount or stalk. So in that case, what we do is to take one small plant like this, and then we cover it with soil until the tip, until here, and then you will have different plants from each of the branches. And number 5, and the most exciting technique, is called layering in the air or air layering. And what we do here is to propagate a plant by bringing the soil directly to the plant. So I'm going to explain that in detail in a few minutes. Can you propagate every plant with layering? No. As you know, there are different types of plants. So you cannot propagate, for example, a banana plant like this, because bananas are not woody plants. They don't have a real stem, they don't have branches, so it will be impossible to do this kind of propagation. But it works very well for most of the plant species, as long as they have woody stem. What is the advantage to use this kind of propagation? Well, the main advantage is that you can have an adult plant like this in just 1 month. So this plant is ready, especially for people who like to have bonsai, for example. They don't need to wait until the plant grows from seed, because you have an adult plant like this in just 1 month. with a nice stem, and now with the wire I can give them the shape that I want. I will also trim and make this in a nice little and pretty tree. So what do we need? We need a knife, we need rope or wire, we need a plastic bag, we need soil, and your plant. You can additionally use rooting powder, which is very good. It accelerates the process of rooting, of course. But if you don't have it, don't worry. It works also like that. Well, the first thing we need to do is to choose our plant, the plant that you want to propagate. Find a nice branch, essentially one that looks like a little tree. And then we clean it a little bit just by removing these extra little branches, just to make some room. In that case, we can work properly. So remove all the little branches, then choose a nice spot. And what you're going to do now is essentially insert your plant. So we are going to remove the external layer, the bark. You can do it as you wish. I'm doing it like this. Just expose the internal part, because I'm going to use the rooting powder, so we need to expose this part to the hormones. But if you don't have the powder, don't worry, that the soil will make its work and it will promote the rooting by itself. So I'm using this rooting powder, which helps with the rooting, so just make it faster. But don't worry, if you don't have, you don't need to do it. If you don't have, just skip this step. When this is done, we need our plastic bag. Additionally, you could use a dark plastic bag, which is actually better for the roots, but it's not good because you cannot see the progress. So I will recommend to use a transparent one. The soil is already dark, so it will promote the roots anyway. Cut the extreme, and then from the upper part of the branch, just insert the plastic bag like magic here. Now we place it in the right position. We sealed the lower part, make sure that the soil is not escaping. Use a little rope to make it safe, and that's it. Of course, if you have help, it's better when somebody gives you an extra hand. Otherwise you will have some accidents, but doesn't matter. So bring your soil, put it inside. You could essentially use other kind of substrate. You can use sand, you can use moss, but I like to use soil. In my opinion, works well. So do this movement and make sure that the injured part is completely in contact with the soil. So press, and then we repeat the step in the upper part. We sealed here. I'm using wire because it's easier when you're alone, but if you have a person to help you, that's better. So with the wire we make sure that this is safe, that the soil is not going to leak, and essentially that's it. Now forget about this plant for 1 or 2 months, and then you will see the results.
Eventually.
So after 1.5 months, as you can see here, you can already see roots in this part, and this is quite nice. So it's ready. You can just cut just right here, and boom, you have a new and perfect new tree. Actually, it's not a new plant, it's really a little tree. You can see the roots here. That means that it's ready. So now we are going to pot it. For that, essentially we remove the plastic. Some people don't even remove the plastic because the roots finds its way and they break the plastic and go outside, but I'm just taking it here because I want to show you the roots. Then we add some soil in a pot, and that's it. We have a new plant. Ta-da! Well, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and more importantly, that you learned something. And as usual, if you made something like this using my tutorial, let me know. If you have questions, type them in the comment section and I will be happy to answer to all your questions. So thank you very much. Don't forget to follow me on this social media, and see you soon. Bye bye.